What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. It is time, y'all, that we take a look at the Jellyfish shotguns. Oh, yeah, these things are glorious. Storm damage, as you see, quite the impressive defense. It is super fun to use. However, you are going to have to make some decisions on how you use it based off of your particular playstyle. Now, when we throw one down and take a look at it, let's give it all the bells and whistles. So we'll give it a destructive pylon. We will give it diffusion and a range pylon on that reflect beam as well. And then we'll go ahead and give it a boost star as well. Now, this is a full damage setup, meaning we're using 2 anti-mods with defense rate. And then we're going to use all of the damaging stuff right up front. Destruction, mass destruction, and focused current. Now, when we take a look at our jellyfish, we see the range on it is 3627. So the range does get improved quite a bit by that diffusion and the range pylon. However, the range on it is still a little bit light. Now, this is going to be like a maximum damage setup here with the double anti-mods and then going as high as we can into crit with that godly roll for crit chance. Now, the deal with these are, though, is their range is really good. The range goes all the way up to 5k, which means like you could get rid of destruction and add in, say, a deadly strikes. And then now you look at it, it's going to be 5,000 range. So the range is reaching outside of the map where we've got it placed here right now. Now, what happens if instead of losing a shard slot, we lose our godly roll instead? So let's get rid of deadly strikes. Let's add destruction back in there. And then we'll use a relic like this, where it's still got the defense rate and an anti, but it's got defense range as the godly roll instead of crit chance. Now, obviously, 10% chance to crit is pretty damn huge. Taking a look at just the effective tooltip DPS in both of those scenarios, with the full enchilada setup, we are at 1.69 million. With the deadly strike setup, we are going to be at 1.19 million. So we take a real big haircut right there. However, that gives us that maximum range. Now, what if we used all 3 damaging shards, destruction, mass destruction, and focus current, yet we switched it over to this defense range roll? Well, now we're going to see our crit chance dropped down considerably. However, our overall DPS did not drop that bad, and we get up to 4229 range. Now, is this at the range cap? Nope, of course it's not. You could even argue that it might be worth going with a defense range mod along with a defense range godly roll just to keep all 3 shard slots intact. Depending on how you want to use it, how much range you want to get out of it. Do you want more damage in a close-up area? Do you want to use this utility shard, or do you want more overall contact with more enemies? All of those choices are going to be up to you. But what I'm going to do here today is test it kind of at that mid-tier. We're going to keep all of our shard slots intact. So we're going to use destruction, mass destruction, and focused current. And we're going to go with this relic with 1 dead mod slot just for the test, but with that defense range godly roll. Let's hop on into a map and check it out. And here we are on Chaos 10 Forest Biome. I love using this map as a tester map, so that is what we're going to do again today. Now, first things first, let me run through and set up some walls, and then take a look at the remaining DU to see what we're going to be able to spend. All right, after getting a full round of doggos in place, we got 1 there, 2 there, 1 here, and then 2 over here. That's going to leave us 850 DU. So let's just say 200 DU per lane. Additionally, that's going to give us an extra 50 for this boss lane over here. So with that in mind, we can do the full buffs. And then on these lanes, we can get down 3 jellyfish. So let's go ahead and drop 3 jellyfish here. we will go ahead and give it a little destructive pylon action. Additionally, we'll give it a boost aura, and we will go ahead and give it a buff beam as well. Now, we're going to do the same thing in all the lanes. However, on these other lanes, we're only going to use 2. As, you know, the one boss lane is going to take most of the action here in this run. So let's go ahead and do 2 jellies. We'll get our destructive pylon, we'll get a boost aura down, and then we'll throw down a buff beam as well. It's kind of debatable in this middle. You could almost use another one right here for sure. But we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to drop 2 jellies, destructive pylon, and buff beam. And then we'll get that boost aura down as well. Pop it in right about there. And then last but not least, same thing over here. 2 jellies. Destructive and a buff beam. And then a boost aura. And that actually eats up all of our DU. So the DU worked out just about right for building out in this fashion. Obviously, I'm using the super expensive walls. I'm spending an extra like 60 DU in this lane just for using the werewolves over like the training dummies. So you can definitely optimize your DU spending depending on what wall you're using. But let's go ahead and check these bad boys out. You know, we're not at the 5,000 range. We should be at that 4,600. Little rubber band there. Or 4,200 here. We're at 4,200 range right here. And like I said, we're missing a little range, but we're still getting down the lane. And more importantly, we are just blasting as well. So a chieftain made it to the wall, which is normally as to be expected. And just pure power. I mean, it's literally like lightning shotguns, these guys are. They just straight blast. So taking a look here, you see other than the chieftain, nothing else has even made it remotely close. In fact, like Gobus and stuff, quite a few of them were getting one tap there. It looked like if it crits, I think it one taps a regular goblin pretty easily. And yeah, the chieftain just getting smacked, getting slapped down. Now I do have anti-heal on the reflect beams. So as the chieftains get to the walls, of course, they're getting that anti-heal on them. But made for just a super, super smooth first wave with this one. I got mixed emotions on this one, y'all. I'm really starting to think that you would go with a range mod. 5,000 range is real good. It's tough to pass that up. With that in mind, you'd be giving up an anti-mod. So at a minimum, you know, 35-40% of your damage you'd be giving up right out of the gates, but you'd be hitting the mobs additional times by having that range that can reach down. Now the question comes up, of course, Tesla coil or jelly? You know, those Tesla coils are pretty awesome, y'all. So I think my personal pick would probably be the Tesla coil. I just like it more thematically. However, you cannot deny the absolute pure power of these jellies. Now this is storm damage, which means if we used like cheaper walls and freed up a little DU, we could easily slap like water auras or some sort of drenching defense in to get that electrocute combo. Of course, playing in Chaos 10, combos are not really needed at all, particularly if you're using a wall. You're just not going to have to add in any sort of a combo into the mix. And most of them are going to, the combos that matter would be against the chieftain, and they're going to be immune anyway. So with that in mind, I don't have any water down here, as it's just, you know, excessive comboing is not always the way to go. So we're staying away from the combo on this one and just going straight with the storm shotgun to the face. And I gotta say, these things are quite beast. Now, they're 50 DU, so it's an expensive defense, but it is powerful. It's definitely dishing out some serious pain, putting out real nice damage, even with the reduced crit chance here. So I got that one dead mod slot. and then the relic with the godly roll, the godly range roll. So debatable. Now, if you gave up, like if you look at direct value per position, you would say the mod slot is probably number 2 in value over a shard slot. In most cases, a shard is just going to give you more value than a mod would. So with that in mind, the godly roll, the problem with the godly roll is 10% chance to crit is just an enormous damage gain over the course of an entire wave or an entire map run or whatever. So if you used the range mod, I don't believe you would have to use the godly roll, and then you would still get much greater value out of that additional range. Because the 5,000 range, you know, it's 5,000 range. That's just beyond huge. You see, they just slap. They're just smacking ogres like they're nothing. And super, super good defense, no doubt about it. Just does incredibly well. Now, one of the reasons you don't see very many Tesla coils, except when Sophisticus plays, is that it's that storm element. You know, the storm element is not heavily used throughout the game. Lots of people like to focus on the poison and earth or just raw damage. One of those really 2 combinations, either the petrify combo or just raw damage out there. Let's slap a few more upgrades in. In fact, we can... Are they all upped? Oh, they're all fully up now. All right, let's just let them fly then. And watch them in action as they close out the rest of this wave. Check out the Zerks. Yeah, see, the Berserkers just get completely walloped. Now, part of the deal here, it's not like the snakes. Like, one of the challenges with the snakes is getting multiple snakes to hit one enemy. That which isn't going to happen unless you're playing actively and, you know, on your Mystic. However, these guys will all overlap. So this is more like the cannonballs, where they'll all hit one target. They have no problem with that. And with all of the damage combined between the multiple towers, it's just really, really good damage output. And as you see here, it's just absolutely shredding. Now, you see as far as the mobs are making it down the lane in a 4-player group, with the additional health scaling, the Chieftain will no doubt make it to the walls. However, that's why we've got those big, thick, meaty walls there. So they're there to handle that. For group play or anywhere where it's needed. We're getting a Chieftain periodically right now, so no doubt in a group, a Chieftain would make it down the lane. But this is just blasting. These are a really good defense. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, it's a debate with these storm-type defenses. Do you use this or do you use the Tesla? I just think the Teslas are really cool. I mean, I like the theme of them. I think they're really fun to use. I like the bouncing around, all that good stuff. So with that in mind, I personally would probably choose the Tesla over the Jellyfish. But the Jellyfish definitely has a ton of value to it. There is just no doubt. So see if we can't get this closed up. We got some Hex Throwers out of range. Of course, they're just throwing into a Reflect Beam, so kind of a non-issue there. But, let's see what else we can do. Let's get these guys capped out. We got 780 left. We'll dump some into this lane here. Get both of those guys capped out. I think we can just let it fly here for the last wave. Can't imagine we're going to have any issues. Here's a Warlord. Now, the Warlord's another one. It will definitely make it to the wall. But let's see how it fares overall. As it comes on down the line. So, I mean, it's just chunking away. Absolutely chunking away. There's the Warlord buff. So he'll be up, got almost to 75% before he made it in. And then as soon as his buff expires, he's just gonna melt. Good stuff there. Now, we are... you know, we're out of range of the Hex Throwers. That's another challenge. With the 5,000 range, we'd probably be able to hit these guys, or at least be closer to hitting these guys, where right now we're not, but they are pretty trivial considering we have Reflect Beams in the mix. Let's check out this Ogre action here. pretty much as soon as the ogre gets in range, it is just over for dude. He is gonna get wrecked. Now, even though we are reducing the amount of targets that we can hit, we're still hitting 6 targets. So we're using that shard. We're sacrificing 4 targets hit in exchange for double damage, basically. So I think that's a pretty fair trade-off, really. You know, if you look just at the math of damage done, if we're doing double damage, then for the shard to be the same, it would have to reduce our targets by half, which it only reduces it by 40%. So you do get a little bit of overall damage done value over the course of the map by having it. But of course, you don't have to use it. And in fact, you can even get rid of it if you wanted to keep the 10 targets, and then use maybe that Deadly Strikes for all of that awesome range. Let me not jump in front of the Hex Thrower this time. See if we can't get the slap down on these guys. And there we go. So pretty smooth sailing on this one. The Jellyfish is beast. There's just no doubt about it. It does really, really well. Let me know down in the comments below, what flavor of Jellyfish are you using? I know a lot of people will use it with a water aura or some form of drenching tower for that electrocute combo. However, for farming Chaos 10 maps, that's just not going to be necessary. You know, we're using walls, which means adding or forcing the use of a combo is just going to lower our overall effectiveness with the DU done, unless you've got a water defense that's just absolutely beast mode and shredding it. But anyway, that will do it for now, y'all. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.